Hey there, my awakened seeker. How are we today? I am Alex, your friendly guide for helping you navigate this human experience. A big part of the human experience and your personal spiritual journey will be your identity and the changes that you will go through when it comes to your identity and self-concept. Two really massive key parts, very much intertwined with each other. When it comes to how we identify with ourselves, what attributes we identify with, shape and form the reality that we experience. And I want to reflect on my own journey when it comes to changes within my identity and the identity shifts that I've gone through. And I see others going through as well with people that I coach. That there seems to be this natural occurrence which automatically happens. There's no forcing or I'm going to do it. It's not like we can convince ourselves consciously that we're doing the identity changing and all of this stuff that's going on. But when really, it just appears to be this autonomous process happening, which is guiding us to deeper degrees of authenticity and to connections with God, our alignment with love and the love of God. And I've gone through major moments of identity shift. One in my late 20s, one in just around 33. These are all quite poignant ages as well. I saw Sadhguru talk about these different age markers that we have. And it's very common to have an awakening around the late 20s and then around the 33, the age of Jesus. We could relate it to that. Then there was another one coming up in 42, 43. I feel like I'm going through a shift at the minute. I'm at age 41. And there's been really poignant moments where my identity has changed. I'll take you back actually to when I was very much unconscious about anything to do with identity and the identity shift that I'm talking about now. And this was a time in my life when I decided I wanted to change my name. My name is Alex Spence now. That's it, Alex Spence. But back in the day, prior to the age of 18, I was known as Alexander, and my second name was Hinder. And the reason for this name change was to do with my father and that my mum and dad splitting up. And I remember navigating through some real turbulence with all of that earlier on. And I came to this decision unconsciously, then consciously, that I wanted to change my name because Hinder was my dad's second name. And I started to think to myself, I must have been something stirring within me. What identity do I want to carry on moving forward? At that time, I was thinking the conscious thoughts that were coming to me, what name do I want to carry forward? But not really knowing the massive identity shift that I was just about to go through. When I changed my name, I changed my first name from Alexander to Alex because everyone just called me Alex. I thought I'd just do it all in one. Everyone just called me Alex. And then I obviously changed it to Spence. Unconsciously, there was something going on in that moment in time. And I must have been around, well, say 16 and 17 when I changed my name. And that moment actually turned into a rebirth moment. There was something happened with me then. My identity completely changed. I managed to let go of, or started the process of really letting go the wounds that I held around with my father, which had actually manifested in quite serious ways, and then did so. Even when my name would change, there was still stuff going on. There was still stuff, there was still major unearthing which happened after that. But it precipitated a real shift in growth and development. And I started to form this like new persona. This new persona that that wanted more, that wanted to shift. So that was when I was around 16, 17. That happened for, let's say, fast forward there, like say when I was like to 25, 26. This new Alex Spence that had been developed had now got the confidence and the courage to make a transition with my whole life from being something that I really didn't want to do, and then shifting into this identity, which was a personal trainer and a coach in my mid-20s. And prior to all of that, I was working in a printing factory, which was very introverted. I was working on my own. And it was really reflecting now. I can see how my original name had manifested this really insular, introverted, no confidence, feeling like I'm lacking so much, just like with so much going on, so much contraction, so much nervous system dysregulation, so much emotional dysregulation going on. And it turned into this massive shut down within my nervous system and shut down within myself, which then manifested in my whole life. But this change of name was really representative of the very roots and start of my healing process. Because then fast forward to that mid-20 point when I really things started to really unearth and come to the surface, and I started to shift and started to have this really spiritual awakening call that something needs to change within my life. 10 years after I'd changed my name, or just under, I'd say, it unearthed this massive tectonic plate shift of me changing my career from something that was so abstract and very different to what I was previously doing, and going into a service-based career where I was actually surrounded by people. And at times this was very challenging to me because I was very introverted, I was very insular, I was very socially awkward, social anxiety, very extreme chronic anxiety, and different dysfunctions I was navigating through up to that point. But there was this moment when I was starting my personal training career, and I had to do a group fitness class. Now this sounds crazy, right? This sounds like sounds crazy, but for me, like, this was so brand new. This was everything that I was so not used to. This was my ultimate comfort destroyer moment, comfort zone, stepping out of moment, where I had to present this like group exercise, body, whatever class. And it was all done to music, and we had very little training to do it. We were just literally had something written down, and then we were like pushed into this class. For me and this was on the opening night of a gym as well, opening night of a gym. But it's all led me up this identity shift, really, really kind of like galvanized and then birthed in this moment when everything was telling me that I can't do this, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, I can't do this. I pushed through everything. And it was this, I'll bring it back to this identity shift that were the foundations of my name, like Alex Spence, this cultivation of a new identity, which really pushed me forward in this development moment. And after I did that, I pushed through intense fear to do this, a really intense fear, because it was so different to what my old self knew. It was so different. It was so completely a tectonic plate shift different to what I was known for or known to do. And it birthed even more of this identity, of the Alex Spence identity. And I shifted into someone who was far more confident, far more, I could really develop in profound communication skills, interpersonal skills, being with people, listening, feeling, and going down that journey. And like I said, it was completely different to what I was used to prior. And everyone has their moments where we could kind of relate to this in our own personal journey. And it's from that moment really that there's been more and more quantum leaps when it comes to my identity of who I am. I feel like I'm continuously growing and stepping into someone new more and more and more. It's accelerating more and more and more. I remember being 25 and being in such a feeling in such a bad way. I felt like I was 105 at 25. I remember being, and knowing what I know about the nervous system now, I was in a chronic state of shutdown, dorsal vagal shutdown. This is when you've been in such a activated state for so long that your nervous system, as you've been permanently putting the foot on the accelerator and you have not taken it off. And when you get into that state, your nervous system goes into a shutdown, which is the equivalent of putting on the brake while still having the foot on the accelerator. So I was in that state of shutdown prior to this real deep awakening moment. But all them years prior, I had this name change. That was so the real foundation and was preparing the ground for this deeper quantum leap-like style of growth and development, which I went into when I jumped into being a coach. It's almost like I experienced countless lives of healing and growth and agony, all intensely in the very now moment. But because I'd had this identity shift and I was being called to something else, I was obviously strong enough at the time, I didn't think I was, to be able to handle that amount of pain and suffering. So the development of this is my whole being has changed totally. The old story, the old Alex had dysfunctional breathing. Now I've learned more about breathing, about breath work, about refining our breath and how important that is to our emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental health. There is the precipitation of a totally different landscape inwardly, and the identity always starts very much inward here and then is expressed outwardly. So, creating a new identity, stepping into a new you, a higher aspect of yourself, not better or worse. Just think about, feel into things as a evolutionary step in your eternal process. We are constantly stepping forward and making choices which are influencing our identity and shaping our identity. Our nervous system will precipitate and have a massive influence on this. And your healing journey will naturally unfold you into different identities. Identities that will start to question where you are now and will start to resolve and reorganize. We will start with the outside world, maybe, about reorganizing our habits and behaviors, the people that we hang around with, where we go, how we spend our time, how we walk, how we breathe, how we move, how we choose to be and flow through the now moment is what will profoundly change. And then in turn will change the trajectory of the future that we are being pulled into. Our identity determines the future that we are being pulled into. Very much the vibrational frequency of the identity that you are adopting now is determining the future that you are being pulled into. The first point of call is to feel into your identity now and feel into it from a state of what is serving me and what is not. If I could communicate with my higher self, or the part of myself that is already achieving what I want to achieve, what would they say to me now? What habits would they say to me that I need to start adopting right now to start being pulled into the future that I most desire, that's aligned with my heart desires? Because that will be it. And to take away the pressure of all of this, the fact that if you're listening to this video now or listening to or tuning into content like this, there's a part of you, your spirit has already made the decision to get the ball into motion and to begin the momentum of this. So one of the most powerful tools to do is to come into a state of allowing when we can. Because once we're in a state of allowing, we can just allow the process to unfold with as minimal resistance as possible. And the person talking to you now could have been called Mr. Resistance. I think I've said that before in one of my other videos. Mr. Resistance. Damn, I loved resistance so much. I loved thriving on resistance almost unconsciously. But now, definitely much more less. Much less, shall I say. So shaping your identity, like have fun with it. Have fun with who you want to become. Start writing it down. Start writing down the attributes, the habits, behaviors, and everything that will serve you in the development and creation of the new identity, because you have to birth the identity that you want to grow into in this now moment now. You have to become that now. Then that can be the tricky thing. But it's a gradual gradient process of shifting and changing when it comes to your habits and behaviors and bringing everything into alignment and bringing in how that person would feel now, developing the feeling of that now. Feeling is the secret, Neville Goddard, shout him out straight away. The cultivation of the feeling, which will be done, and you'll be naturally attracted to the tools and techniques which are most in line with you, which will help precipitate that process. Really important, fun, lightheartedness. Abraham Hicks is the queen, the king and queen. I think about Esther Hicks, but I think even the names of Abraham, we're talking about like an all-inclusive, beyond the pronoun, beyond any kind of thing like that. But Esther Hicks, I love her because she, as Abraham, but they join, they are one. Massive part of what they talk about is lightheartedness and joy. Joy in the process of developing your new identity / reality. Identity and reality are conjoined profoundly, and providing and stimulating a joyful journey will accelerate you getting to where you want to go and will help you minimize down any resistance or barricades that will get in the way of you moving forward. Fun, joy, lightheartedness, really 3 key ingredients to your success when it comes to the creation of your new identity, the birth, the death of the old, and the birth of a new story. The new you that you're stepping into. Falling in love with where you are now, for being compassionate to the old self that has been repeating patterns of behavior which have kept you to maybe stuck to a certain degree. A gentle shift, a loving, gentle momentum shift into the new, the birthing of the new. Thank you, my friends. Happy 2025, my awakened seekers. Yes, we are waking up. We are doing it. We are doing it, my friends. So much, so much. I'm so proud of every one of you. I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'm going to say how excited I am already to see you in the next video.